downstairs, and I remember our next class session, the police officer came and he called my name, and everybody was just looking like, why is the police coming to take her? So they took me downstairs, and they was talking to me about the essay and about what I wrote in the essay, and they was telling me, you can't leave, your mother needs to come in. And this is how I knew it was serious. I told the lady I need to go get my book bag because I didn't know I was gonna stay there the whole class session. So she said, okay, go get your book bag, but if you try to go home, we're gonna send a police officer to your house to come get you. So that's when I knew it was serious. But I also remember there was another incident in elementary school where I believe I told somebody that I was depressed, and they helped me in the office, and my mother had to come to the school. So anyway, in the high school, that incident, my mother came and they told her what was written, and she was like, you see why we're very concerned about what she written in this essay. And then they told me that I couldn't come back to school until I speak to a therapist. DCF was the place where I went, and they made me sign a I would not commit suicide, I would not self-harm myself contract. And ever since then, I have not self-harmed in 6 years. But after that incident, I felt relieved because I was able to get the help that I needed. And I was able to pass the FCAT, and I was able to focus, and I was able to graduate. So I was able to get my diploma, which I'm very thankful that that situation happened, because if that situation would have never happened, I would have never gotten the help that I needed. So I graduated. My first semester of college was really fun. Like, I had a job, I was meeting so many new people, like I had straight A's. Like, I really felt like my life has turned around. But then my mother got sick. She got in heart disease, and it hit me so low, because it was like you was watching somebody that you love dying. And I remember it was so bad to the point where if my mother was laying down sleeping, I would go listen to see if like she was breathing or something. Like, I was so scared that my mother was gonna die in her sleep. And it was so hard for me. Like, I hit a really, really hard depression, and I think around that time I gained 40 pounds. And I would have mental breakdowns in class. I remember I was in English class, and the teacher asked me something, and I just started crying, and my teacher had to pull me out and like try to talk to me, because like I said, I was raised that if something was going on with you, don't say anything. That's how I was raised. And I remember a situation like that happened in high school, where I was sitting at my desk, and I was looking down, and I was very, very sad at that moment, and my desk was right next to the teacher's desk. So he told me to come outside, and then he came outside, and then he talked to me. Ugh, I don't know why I'm tearing up. This is why I said it was so hard for me to make this video, because I'm happy. I promise you I'm happy, but to just relive everything, it's just like a wow. Like, I have been through a lot in my life. So yeah, back in college, yeah, I was going through very deep depression, and my A's started to turn to C's, was started to turn to D's, was started to turn to F's. And at the time, I had financial aid, and I lost my financial aid, and I was also depressed because I done gained weight, and people was mean to me. It was like high school and elementary school, middle school all over again. And this time it was really, really deep. Like, I was housebound emotionally, mentally for about 2 years. Like, I was so depressed. Like, I'm talking about very, very depressed. And at this point, I was extremely, extremely insecure about myself. And let me talk about my makeup right quick. So because as I was growing up, a lot of people would make a lot of comments about the way that I looked. I felt like I had to wear makeup in order to feel beautiful. And I wear makeup every day. Every day, even if I was going to the gym, I would wear makeup every day because I felt like I was ugly without it. And I remember it was so bad to the point where if I knew I was just sitting in the house, I would still put on makeup because I didn't even want to look at my face bare. And it was so hard for me. It was very hard for me to be able to love myself. It was very, oh, my brother's in the car. It was very hard for me to love myself. And so I was going through my depression, and it's starting to get a little hot in this car. But I'm too lazy to turn on the AC. So that time, like, I really was like, my social anxiety was so horrible. And like I said, when you are clinically diagnosed with depression, it is very hard for you to function. It is very hard for you to do things. It is very hard for you to be able to socialize. When I went out, I didn't look at people. Like, I was so scared of what somebody would have said about me, and that's why I didn't like to bring attention to me. And I didn't speak to anyone. I didn't feel like I was good enough to speak to people. So I remember one day my friend was like, oh, she found this Bible app online. And she was like, oh, have you ever heard of devotionals? And I was like, oh, devotionals, what is that? So basically she was saying that it's the Bible app, and they have different topics for you to go over. And if you're going through something, that you pick that topic, like for example, depression, you click on depression, and they'll give you like different scriptures and different devotionals for you to read to be able to get rid of depression. So I remember I was like, okay, so I downloaded the app, and I started to I picked depression, and I think it was like a week devotional. And I promise you by the grace of God, like I felt like chains were broken. Like, I felt like my depression went away. Like, all of my doubts, all of my my fears, everything went away. Like, it was so good to the point where I was able to go out and socialize again. Like, I would go to the store and I would like speak to people, and I would walk outside of my house without makeup on. And like I said before, like, I felt so insecure that I felt like I had to wear makeup to feel beautiful. And honestly, reading that devotional saved my life, because if my best friend would have never recommended that to me, I probably would have still been depressed to this day. I probably would have been in a very, 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 very bad place. And this is why I want to say God is so good, because God has really taken me out of that depressed state. And this is a girl who was clinically diagnosed with depression for over 14 years, bedbound, going to sleep every day. I was cutting myself. I was at my low. I was very, very insecure about myself and the way that I looked and who I was as a person. So, I want to say that it's not, if it wasn't for God, I wouldn't know where I would be. I honestly would not know where I would be. And this is why I'm making this video, because there's a lot of people out there who are depressed. And there's a lot of people out there who needs help and who needs to be saved and who needs to understand that you are beautiful. You are worthy. You are everything. And you can accomplish whatever you want to accomplish, because God says you can. And in the Bible, God says you are his creation, and God is truth. And a lot of people need to understand, when you start to think, I'm not good enough, I'm ugly, I'm worthless, I would never get this job, that's not God talking to you. That's the devil talking to you. And I had to realize that a long time ago. And that's why when those people used to say those mean things about me, that was the devil talking. That wasn't God. And I'm not going to sit there and believe anything that they were saying, because that wasn't true. And that's why I want to say that now. If anybody is talking down on you and making you try to feel like that you're not good enough, or you got family members who could just never say anything positive about you, honey, let me tell you, you are worthy. You are amazing. You can accomplish anything you want to accomplish. Don't believe one negative thing. And let me say another thing. Hurt people hurt people. God had to really humble my heart and have me understand that people do things for a reason. Maybe people weren't taught to love. Maybe people weren't taught to be kind or to be nice because they were never exposed to that. People weren't exposed to love. So instead of love, they hate. So you honestly have to look at stuff like that and think, wow, why is this person like that? Why is this person so mean? Why is this coworker at work keep giving me a hard time? Why is my boss giving me a hard time? Why is it that when I go to this specific place and order something, this young woman keeps giving me a hard time? You honestly have to just take a step back and just really think, like, what has this person gone through? What has this person gone through for them to feel the way that they feel? And God really showed me there's people out there struggling. There's people out there who honestly hate themselves. There's people out there who wake up angry. There's people out there who can never be happy because they don't know what happiness is. They've never been exposed to happiness. But I'm trying to tell you, God is so amazing. God can break generational curses. He can break bondage. He can really set you free. God is freedom. God is freedom. Like before, way back then, like I stated previously, I hated taking pictures. I've hated for people to tell me, hey, come take this picture, because I really did not like for people to see me, and I really did not like myself. But now I'm on here recording a video for the whole world to see. God did that. I did not do that. God has given me the confidence to do things like this. And that's what I'm saying. A lot of people need to understand that you are feeling the way that you feel because there's something there. And it probably isn't bullying. It probably isn't social media. Maybe a ex-lover abused you. Maybe somebody told you you weren't good enough and you sat there and you ran with it. And daughter, son, you are good enough. Because you are God's creation. You can accomplish anything you want to accomplish. You can achieve any goal you want to achieve. But the first thing you have to do is stop thinking negative about yourself. Stop thinking that you're not good enough, worthy enough, smart enough, dedicated enough, motivated enough, because you are. Any negative thing that has ever been said to you is a lie. And I'm saying this from my self-experience. I'm saying this because I've been through it. I understand everything that is happening is a lie. It is a lie from the pit of hell. And I'm sweaty. I am so sweaty. But I just really wanted to get this video out there because I know there's a lot of people who are dealing with depression. There's a lot of people who are committing suicide because they've always been told their whole life they're not good enough. But I'm here to tell you, sweetheart, you are good enough. Sir, you are good enough. You are good enough. You are good enough. And just because people are hurting you, that don't mean you have to hurt them back. Love people, and I promise you, and you might feel like, well, they don't deserve my love. They've been so mean to me for no reason. I get it. Those kids who bully me, I promise you, the things they were doing, they didn't forgive. They didn't deserve my forgiveness either. Everybody who hurt me, but I had to heal myself from that place because of what they did, because of whatever I experienced. It affected everything I was doing. I was so scared to go to interviews because I thought I wasn't good enough. I pushed every guy in a relationship I was in because I was scared of somebody hurting me. I was a slave to what those people did. And people would tell me that, and I was in denial about that, but it's very true. When you do not forgive and when you do not see the positive in yourself, you're going to be a slave to what those people